Hello everyone, welcome to the Graduation Thesis Submission Procedures online course. Today, we're going to walk you through the process of uploading and submitting your graduation thesis and go over some key points you need to pay attention to. Here's the outline for today's session, so let's get started. First up, let's talk about the workflow that involves the library. There are three main stages to be aware of: before your oral defense, by the thesis upload deadline, and before the graduation deadline. Before your oral defense, you need to get your thesis checked for plagiarism. This involves applying for an account and requesting a library Turnitin review, which takes about 1 to 2 days for the library to get back to you. So, to make sure you stay on track, you should definitely start this process at least 7 working days before your oral defense. Once you've passed your oral defense and made any necessary revisions, you'll need to go to the library's electronic thesis submission system to enter your thesis information and upload your final version. The library will review your submission, and only after that can you print your hard copy thesis and complete the other graduation procedures. Since the review process takes time, you need to meet an earlier deadline, which is about a week before the final graduation deadline. For this year, the final graduation deadline is August 26th, so the thesis upload deadline is August 18. All the timing details and related information will be posted on the Graduation Reminders for Graduate Students webpage, and we also regularly update the announcement each semester during graduation season. If you have any questions, make sure to check there first. Also, just a heads up, any urgent request is not allowed. The library review process is done manually, so there's no such thing as urgent requests. If you need to leave early, please plan your time accordingly and start the process early. Please don't call to rush the staff. That only creates problems for us. All right, let's dive into the details. Before we start the upload process, let's go over the rules for making your thesis public. When you upload your thesis, you'll need to make some choices and upload corresponding documents. There are 2 main options for public access: online full text and in-library use. You can set different dates for these two. The online full text option is for when you want your thesis to be fully accessible online, and you and your advisor can decide on the release date for this. However, in-library use should generally be available for public access. You can only request a delay for this if you have valid legal reasons, and you must provide evidence material for supporting the reasons. Without the proper documentation or valid reasons, your request will be denied. Let's look at this table to make things clearer. For electronic full text, you only need to print out 2 copies of the authorization agreement from the thesis submission system. You and your advisor have to sign on them. But if you need to delay the in-library use, you'll need to prepare 2 copies of the application for embargo of thesis, dissertation, and provide evidence materials. Plus, it's not just you and your advisor who need to sign these forms. The head of the department's signature and the department's seal are also required. All these documents need to be uploaded to the library's thesis submission system when you submit your thesis. Here are some important things to remember when filling out these forms. 1. You need to complete both forms, and the information on both forms must be the same. Even though the forms look a bit different, they ask for the same information. 2. The reason for requesting an embargo must be legitimate, or your application might be returned. 3. The public access date can only be delayed for up to 5 years. 4. Make sure all signatures and the seal are included. 5. It's generally a good idea not to delay the bibliography. If you delay access to the bibliography, your thesis won't be visible on our website, which might cause problems for future job searches. Once you have these 2 forms and your evidence materials ready, you'll upload them by clicking the Click Here if applying for embargo of thesis dissertation button in Step 2 of the thesis submission system. If you're not applying for an embargo, you can skip this button. If you only need to delay the online access for your thesis, just select the open access date in the system and print out the authorization agreement in Step 3. After you and your advisor sign it, you can upload it to the Thesis system. All right, that covers the basics of the public access settings and the forms you'll need. Let's move on to the next part of the submission process. First, before you start uploading your thesis, make sure you prepare a complete PDF file of your thesis. Your electronic thesis should include all the elements shown here. Pay close attention to the page numbering and the watermark requirements to make sure they follow our school's guidelines. For the library review criteria, we'll go over in detail later on. And before we officially start the upload process, there are a few things you need to check. 1. Your thesis must have passed the oral defense and received your advisor's approval for the final version. Once you upload it and it's approved by the library, you won't be able to change it afterward. 2. Make sure you're uploading your thesis in the semester when you're actually graduating. If you're not graduating yet, don't submit your thesis. 3. Only print your hard copy thesis after the library has approved your electronic thesis to avoid any mistakes in the printed version. 4. Confirm the public access date for your thesis with your advisor before starting the upload. As we shared earlier, you need to upload the relevant forms in the thesis submission system based on the public access settings. Normally, in-library use should be immediately available. If you have a legitimate reason to delay it, prepare 2 copies of the Application for Embargo of Thesis, Dissertation, and your evidence materials in advance, and upload them in Step 2 of the thesis submission system. Also, don't forget to hand in the original copies of embargo forms and the authorization agreement along with your printed thesis to our library. Once you've checked all these things, you're ready to start the thesis upload process. Let's move on to the next part. Before you can start using the thesis submission system, you need to register an account. First, use the URL shown on the screen to register for an account. Make sure you use your school email address for this. Your email domain should be either ontut.edu.tw or ontut.org.tw. After you submit your registration, check your email for a confirmation message and activate your account. Once your account is activated, go to the library's homepage and under the Resource menu, click on Dissertations and Theses to access our thesis submission system. On the system's page, click on the Register link in the upper right corner. Use the school email and the password you just set up to log in, and it will lead you to the page of filling your personal information. When filling out your profile, pay attention to the following points. A. For the academic year, make sure you enter the year you're graduating, not when you started your studies. B. Select your department from the list. It's a long list, so you can type a keyword to find your department more quickly. C. Enter your student ID number. D. Enter your commonly used email address to make sure you don't miss any important notifications. E. For the semester, select first if you're graduating in the fall-winter semester, and second if you're graduating in the spring-summer semester. After you fill out and submit these details, you will receive an email with a new ID and password. Go to our thesis submission system again and click Submission to log in with the new ID you received, and you'll be ready to start setting up your thesis submission. Then we can start to upload our theses. Once you're logged into the thesis submission system, you'll see steps 1 through 4 on the left side. You just need to follow these steps one by one. Let's break it down. In Step 1, you need to enter all your thesis details. Click on Add Dissertation Thesis, and a new window will pop up where you'll fill out your thesis information. Pay attention to the following points. 1. Make sure the thesis type is set to Academic Thesis Dissertation. 2. If you don't have a Chinese name, just enter your English name. 3. Write the English names in all capital letters. 4. If you don't have a Chinese title, just put in the English title. 5. The Chinese names of your advisor and committee members are required. Make sure to include the Chinese names of them. 6. List one committee member per blank. Use the Add button to add more text boxes if needed, and make sure the number of members matches the signatures on the signature page. 7. The date of your oral defense must match the date on your signature page. 8. Fill in the correct academic year and publish year. For example, if you're graduating in the summer of 2024, use academic year 112 and publish year 2024. 9. Page count must match the last page number of your thesis, not the total PDF file pages. 10. Enter one keyword per blank. Use the Add button to add more text boxes, and these keywords should match the ones in your abstract. 11. You can skip personal info like ORCID ID or Facebook. Besides from these, there are still some formatting details you should pay attention to. In the abstract field, use paragraph breaks only between paragraphs, not after each sentence. It's best to copy from your dossier file. In the Table of Contents field, include chapter names and page numbers, and make sure they match your thesis. In the References field, list each reference as one item per line with breaks only between references. When you're done, click Save to move on to Step 2. In Step 2, click the Upload button to open a new window where you can browse for your thesis file and submit it. Once the upload is successful, you'll see a full-text link. Click this link to check your uploaded thesis. On the right side of the Upload button, there's a gray button. Click here if applying for embargo of thesis, dissertation. If you need to apply for an embargo for your in-library use copies, you'll need to prepare 2 embargo forms and the evidence material. Click this button to open a new window where you can upload these documents and set your embargo date. Make sure this date matches the date on your application forms. Again, you only need to use this gray button if you're applying for the in-library use embargo. If you're only applying for an online embargo or no embargo, you can skip this step. After uploading your thesis, you will need to fill out the copyright license agreement. Set the public access date here. If you're making it public within 5 years, choose one of the top 3 options. Only choose Other if you have a special situation, and provide the new embargo date and reason. When you're done setting the open access dates, click Next to move on to Step 3. In Step 3, you will need to print out 2 copies of the agreement form. The system will generate 2 forms, but if they print as 3 pages because of the length of the content, make sure to scale down the print so everything fits on 2 pages. You and your advisor need to sign these forms, then scan or take a photo of them, and upload them by clicking Upload Authorization Letter. Make sure the public access date on the forms matches what you entered in the system. Also, your signature need to be clear, readable, and must be handwriting, not typed. Once you've completed this step, you can move to Step 4. In Step 4, click Submit to send your thesis for library review. You need to see the Submitted status on the screen to confirm that your thesis has been successfully sent. If you don't see Submitted, the library won't be able to review your thesis. After submission, the library will review your thesis in the order it was received, which usually takes about 1 to 2 working days. We don't allow any urgent requests, so please be patient. Later, I'll go over the library review criteria. It's recommended to check these criteria yourself before you submit to avoid any returns and speed up the process. That's it for the upload process. And now, let me get to the most important part. Library review criteria. For our criteria, here are what we focus on. Is the information you entered correct? Does the information in your electronic thesis match what you filled out in the system? Does your thesis follow the school's formatting guidelines? Also, what we're checking involved in these 3 parts. 1. Your electronic thesis content. 2. The information you entered in the thesis submission system. 3. The forms you uploaded to the thesis submission system. Let's go through some common mistakes. In your thesis, no page numbers on the cover page and title page. Use Roman numerals, etc., for pages before the main text, and Arabic numbers, 1, 2, 3, etc., starting from the first chapter through to the last page. Also, you need to include a photocopied signature form with complete signatures. Next, be careful to your watermark. Download the latest watermark image from the Our Library's website. It should scale 30-50% of the width of the page. The watermark should be visible but not too dark, and it should not block any text. For page number number, follow our format. Cover, title page, and signature page should have no page numbers. Roman numerals for pages before the main text. Arabic numbers starting from the main text. On the title page, please use the official cover page template from our school. The title, your name, and the year should be correct. If you don't have a Chinese title or name, that's okay, but make sure the university and department names are listed in both Chinese and English. Next, remember to include the signature page between the cover page and the abstract, with complete signatures from the committee members, your advisor, and the department head. The date should be the same as your oral defense date. In the abstract, the information is often overlooked. Make sure following things. Title must match the one on the cover. Pages must same as the page number of the last page of the thesis, not the total pages in this PDF file. Department must match to the official name. I have a list on our library's website. Please check the list in advance. Time is same as the year-month on the cover. Also, make sure that the chapter headings, like Chapter 1, Chapter 2, are at the top of the page. Check for formatting issues before submission, especially if you're converting from Word to PDF, and avoid the unnecessary blank page as well. Sometimes this issue might occur after you convert the file. Next, remove or cover any personal information in your thesis to protect your privacy. Meanwhile, please pay attention to the information you fill in the system. Let us go through this quickly because we've already mentioned this in the previous part. For example, make sure to fill out the names of your advisor and committee members in both Chinese and English. Per name per blank, and the committee members' names must match the names on your signature page. And same as the keywords field. The keywords must match the information in your abstract. If you don't have any Chinese keywords, simply put the English ones instead. Next, make sure the table of contents includes all chapter titles and page numbers and matches the actual pages in your thesis. And don't have any unreasonable line breaks in the abstract and references field. Also, upload the correct forms and make sure the dates on the forms match the dates you entered in the system. If you just need to embargo your online full text, you just need to upload the agreements at Step 3. But if you need to embargo the in-library use as well, remember to upload the embargo forms and evidence material to Step 2. Finally, before you click the Submit button, check our User Guides page in the system for the Library Review checklist. It is recommended to self-check these checkpoints yourself to avoid common mistakes. Once your thesis has been approved, you can print the hard copies. The content of the printed thesis should match what you uploaded, but you need to create a new cover without a watermark for the printed version. And here is the binding information. For the cover color, master's theses should be light yellow and doctoral theses should be light gray. It is recommended to go to our print center under the 6th building because they are more familiar with our school's format. And next, to complete our library's graduation procedures, you need to prepare 1 printed copy of your thesis, 2 authorization forms, which is printed from Step 3 of the thesis submission system, and 1 approval email from the library. If you applied for an embargo for the in-library use, prepare 2 embargo forms, one for our school and the other for the National Central Library, along with 2 evidence material documents. Also, remember to submit the graduation application in the graduation procedures system in your student portal. Finally, All these information is available on the library's Libraries Graduation Reminders page. You can also check our thesis submission system for must-read, step-by-step instructions and downloading our latest templates and forms. That wraps up today's course. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us through the information here. I hope you all have a great graduation. Thanks for joining us.